What's up, everybody? That time of the day, that time of the week, that time of the month.
Yes, it is.
You listen to the good,
The Band.
the ugly. I'm Big Papa.
And I'm Jeff. Just Jeff.
Just plain old
Yep.
vanilla. vanilla Jeff. You know what? Nothing is plain anymore.
You're right.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, Oreo.
Oreo-flavored Coca-Cola.
Oof, dude.
You know, this is liquid fat guy food right here. This is zero sugar.
Eat your insides.
I was talking to someone the other day. He goes, my only downfall now is I'm still doing lines. I said, dude, he goes, of Oreos. I'm like, oh, all right. I didn't know where you're going with that, dude.
Yeah, no kidding.
Had a Skittle bump earlier.
That's right.
This is going off the rails really
already.
Quick. Yeah. Hey, we want to welcome everybody to the Ultimate Ears studio.
Yes.
You can hear your own tears.
With Ultimate
Ears. I'm telling you, they're going to end up paying us for that.
They have to.
I talked to her the other day about NAMM, and I said, well, I want a sign that says that.
Right.
She said, it's probably not going to happen.
Well, all right, then. I'm not coming.
Where are you coming
anyway?
No, you can't.
Anyway.
There. So, how you doing, brother?
Good, man. You?
Good week?
Yeah.
Yeah? Anything fun you did?
No.
I didn't buy anything.
Yeah, that's a first.
No Temu.
No.
Didn't buy any motorcycles this week. Garage is full.
Okay.
That's it. Can't do anymore.
For right now.
Garage is full, and I just got my my payment shit
Oh.
from Harley. Stick that one in the hopper.
Yeah.
Boy, we got a good one today.
It's going to be fun.
It is, because I'll tell you, he played some music that I absolutely love.
Yes.
A bunch of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not even going to ruin any surprises because I don't every week, and sometimes people guess, but not this week. You won't.
Yeah. Good luck.
Without further ado,
Yes. This is Rev Jones.
coming to the studio.
Hello.
How you
What's
doing,
up,
man?
I'm
Dude.
good. I'm good.
Good.
First of all, I got to ask, where's the killer
where's the
ponytail?
mohawk?
The mohawk.
Oh, well, you
The
should have asked me
helicopter.
earlier. I'd have pulled it out for you.
Oh,
It's right
I still
over
have
here.
it. It's in a box in my closet.
he's waiting until he gets inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of
there you
Fame.
go.
And he's going to be like, here you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's on display. Nothing else. Just
Dude, I don't know how
Yeah.
you didn't. You look like a helicopter out there, and I mean, people used to make fun of Angus and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
you're surprised he didn't have whip, but that shit wasn't just one way. That was
all
Yeah.
around.
it was helicoptering,
Yeah,
man.
and it's funny because to get that I just tied my hair in these knots and these braids, so it was kind of like a rope, like a
Okay.
big rope that
Yeah.
you pull a boat with or something, and I had this permanent groove in my hand right here from when I would play, and it would hit it.
Oh wow.
No shit.
And,
Okay.
And it literally is a little groove there. I mean, the main reason I had to wear it up in the ponytail was because it would get caught under my strings.
Okay.
So
no
I'd be
shit.
swinging,
Yeah.
and if I went to a string, it would just,
Well, that's the end of that.
go. So I'd have to get it just high enough that it wouldn't. And so there was some other weird things about it. When we'd end a song, bump. That's what I'd hear, because they'd come down and hit my strings, so it'd go plop.
Yep.
And I always had in-ears, and it was real loud. So
Oh jeez.
What kind of in-ears were they? Were they Ultimate Ears in-ears?
No.
they were ultimate ears.
right there, my man.
Look
Dude,
at that.
nice. Right here. Yeah, they don't get the big ones anymore. Even the Ultimate Pros come in the little tiny.
I know.
I like his case better though.
So do
Oh
I.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it had this. Look at that cable. They don't even make these cables.
Dude,
You could,
look at this thing.
yeah, you could.
When
You
you're
could
pu-
take a.
Yeah. When you're
Yeah, you could take a pair of scissors and it'd never make it through these.
Yeah.
You know?
trying to pull it out of my ear, I'm like, this is going to be the day that this thing goes,
Oh yeah.
But no, I can't say enough about. I mean, I surely had a different brand before. I'm surely not going to mention what it was.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
I actually have another brand. I won't say anything about them because.
Yeah.
Understood.
But
I've had these for quite a while. have no problem with them. They're still killing, you know. I still use them. Yeah.
When they sent me the pros, I took them. I'd been doing a couple shows doing this, and then I took them on stage for the first time, and I was like, holy shit.
Different.
Now these are in-ears compared to,
totally different.
Not to mention that the day I was getting fitted at NAMM, Debbie Gibson was getting fitted next to me, and the camera's in your ear, and I look at the guy and I go, dude, if there's a ball of wax in there, just skip it. And I always say, even inside her ear is still hot.
Oh boy, so, here we go.
Anyways,
we go.
dude, you've played with such great people. I mean,
and we're talking Mountain.
We're talking Mountain. We're talking
Leslie West.
Yeah, we're talking Steelheart.
Yeah, Steelheart.
Yeah. And I don't know if people don't realize the songs from Steelheart.
No.
If you like the movie.
Well, yeah, if you like the movie, go back.
Yeah.
A few years.
Right.
like 20.
Yeah, but still.
And go, check out their original stuff. Oh my God.
Dude, but
even the last two. I played on the last two albums too.
Yeah.
Which actually are
pretty killer.
Some of the better songs. Some of the better songs.
When you watch that movie Rockstar and you see the fake version of what's going on, do you sit back and go, God, I hope people realize?
Wait.
So I was at the Forum when they filmed all of the footage,
right?
Okay.
For the movie.
Yep.
So I already knew about the movie because Jeff Soto had started posting that he was, that they were doing it and everything. So, and I don't remember who. I think it was like Megadeth and Wasp and like L.A. Guns maybe and Metal Shop.
Okay.
Steel Panther when they were Metal Shop.
Yep.
And so in between, so the band would come out and play. They'd get footage of the crowd. In between, they would do footage for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And people didn't even know who was who. Of course they knew Pilsen and Zach Wilde and but
Jason Bonham.
They didn't. Wahlberg. I don't even think they even really caught that it was him unless they knew.
Yeah.
Everybody knew it was a movie, but they didn't really know. And some of the other guys, like Blas, he was in that. They didn't shoot any footage there, but those guys were there because they're in the crowd. You know?
Yeah.
But so, and I've seen the movie a million times. I've looked trying to find where we were at. Maybe I'll be there. And of course, you can't see it. But so this was way before I was in Steelheart.
Yeah.
I just happened to not too long after that. I was in a band called Black Symphony, and we'd been auditioning singers. So we'd ran an ad trying to find a singer, and then we seen who was it? We seen somebody at NAMM, and they were like, "Hey, you should talk to Millie Mativic from Steelheart.
Yeah,
he's trying to find guys to put a new band together or whatever." So we left a message with him, and then we got a message from him at the same time. So he came out, and we actually don't know if he was coming because of our ad or because we had, he called us. It was kind of both things. Oh, it's Nils Lozauer. He was staying on Nils. He was staying on his couch for a couple of weeks. And so he'd come out and he heard our stuff and, and we talked and, then he left. We didn't, he didn't obviously wasn't going to join another, established band. He was more like looking for guys to start something new. And like a year later, 6 months later, something like that, he just called me out of the blue and said, "Hey, you want to come play on the record?" So I flew out, and that's actually how it started. I just flew out and played. Half the album was done. I just did like 4 songs, and that was it. And I was just, I didn't even think I was going to do, be in the band, and because I was still in Michael Schenker Group at the time, and I just left. And so we did that. We did the album, and then he's like, "Hey, you want to, come do shows?" And I'm like, "Yeah." My friends were starting Rocklahoma. It was the first year, and so me being in the band, I was like, hey, we got to be on the show, so,
Right.
And then I was in the band for up till about 2017, 2018, somewhere like that.
Oh,
and
nice.
then I just left, not because of any problems with them. I just, my son was born, and there wasn't enough shows because, they do more fly dates.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's hard to make money, if you're flying every weekend, it might be easier, but 30 shows in a year is not very, productive. So I had to take another one in.
Yeah.
But I still, buddies with all those guys, they're great.
Cool. You worked with Paul Gilbert too, of
Yeah.
Mr. Big. How was that? I mean,
So that came from that band Black Symphony I was in. Jeff Martin was a drummer who also plays on all my solo albums.
Right.
yeah, so we have to
He was
plug
yeah.
it. Yes.
So Jeff
Shameless
was
plug.
Jeff, he was also the drummer of Badlands. On
Yeah.
the
So I was just going to
second
say,
and
was
third
that
album.
Badlands too? Right.
Yeah. He's a singer for Racer X,
right.
and so he was doing one of I'd met Paul a few times, but he was doing one of Paul's albums playing drums. With Alligator Farm.
Oh, okay.
So they called me, and I think Mike Zuder was playing bass, but he had left to go do something. So Paul called me, and he flew me out, and first day we just jammed for like 6 hours. Played every Beatles and Van Halen and everything. It was cool. Then I went to sleep in his this gigantic bed in this gigantic guest room in his gigantic mansion in Vegas, and I'm glad. I couldn't even hardly get up. I woke up. I was like, "Oh my God, I don't want to get up."
Right.
It's one of those.
Yeah.
You don't want to go home to your, excuse my language, your shithole that
Right.
you live in.
Hey,
It's like,
I got one of those. If you could only turn the camera around.
Right.
Yeah. If you could, it's like staying in a 5-star and then going back home. It's like,
Yeah.
Right.
But and then we recorded, the whole next 2 days, and the way Paul does stuff is everything that ends up on the album is pretty much live. That he'll go back and touch up solos or, even a lot of the vocals. He likes to get this live take that has the best vibe of everybody in the same room, and then he'll fix stuff.
Yeah.
And so we did that, and then I left, and then he actually had called me a couple weeks later or whatever, and I guess Mike wanted, was coming back, and so he was giving me the option, hey, do you want to join?
Mm-hmm.
To be on the album, you're gonna have to join because he's not gonna, have his guy come back, but me,
You
be
did
on
the album,
there,
and he's going to tour.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
yeah, and he didn't want, but he gave me the option. But at the time, I was, Black Symphony, we had a new album out, we were, actually doing stuff, and also I was already playing in Michael Schenker Group,
Right.
So I had a lot, so I thanked him for the offer, and he told me. Then he asked me, he said, well, do you have a problem if something ends up on the album that has you on it? And because he wouldn't know because all the tapes, because it was all on ADAT, So he had just tapes of these songs. So if I had a problem, he was just going to go back and erase all the tapes because he wouldn't know who was on each tape.
Right. Right.
And I just told him, I said, I don't care. You already, coming to jam was good enough for me,
Right.
So. And to this day, when I hear it, there's like 2 songs on there. When I hear it, I'm like, that's either me or he had him learn what I played.
Right.
Right.
Just because it's kind of Beatle-y and, I did my cool McCartney kind of lines and, but I don't care one way or the other. It was just being able to, to play with him there. And then after that, we did Jeff Martin's solo album we did. And we went to Paul's and we recorded, he played about half the album he did. I think he did all the rhythms, but he did like half the solos. And so I was there at his house, and by then he had moved to Hollywood Hills. And we actually were there, and then he left right in the middle of the session. He had to fly to Germany to ask his wife to marry him.
Oh.
So kind of.
Okay.
It was kind of I think there was some weird situation with it, but he's like, man, I just got to go. And he like literally flew to Japan to,
Wow.
to, 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 to get engaged.
Wake up one morning and go, I'm going to get engaged today.
I think today's the day.
Yeah, I think it's today.
Did he?
Yeah,
was
Paul's
this
great?
Was this before the whole Mr. Big kind of revival, or did he?
It was. This was. It was during when he was still doing all his solo albums.
Right.
Yeah, it was probably 3 years before they got back, because when I was with Steelheart at Sweden Rock was that first Mr. Big revival, and we played the same day, and because I'd went over and hung out with him, but he's great. I just seen him the last show of the U.S. tour. They played here, so I went down and seen him, and those guys are great.
I mean, your playing is so iconic, and it's just so you. There's not too many people that pull off that whole eight fingers, technique.
Thank you for noticing.
Yes.
He's like the Joel Hoekstra of bass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's not a lot of people.
I mean, no.
And his technique is so unique. And then Billy Sheehan has his own technique. So he likes to surround himself with guys that own their own.
Yeah.
They own it.
Yeah.
It's they're not playing like anybody but themselves.
Correct.
So
yeah.
And the stuff I've seen you play is just with the whole
mind blowing.
Yeah. I wish to God I could get a bass player. You break the mold. We had Norm Voss, who's playing with Brett Michaels now. No, just another type of cat that just doesn't fit the bass player mold like you. I mean, you're all over the place. We always got the Tin Man, the typical sit.
Yeah, exactly.
Expressionless.
He's got it.
Yeah. To the point where we had a bass player that we didn't understand why things just were sounding so fucked up. The first.
Are you going into that story?
Yes, the first 15 minutes of our set, and I'm like, dude, what song are you fucking? I'm looking. I'm like, what are you playing? And he points to the set list, and I look, and he's playing set list number 2. So he'd played 5 songs wrong, and he didn't even. Yeah. He didn't last after that, but I was like, what the fuck? It just doesn't sound right.
Yeah, something wrong.
So,
I know there's too many people start playing as pros way too early.
Yeah.
I mean, but going back to the Tin Man thing.
Yeah.
The thing I hate more than anything when I see a band is nobody moving.
Yes.
Everybody looks bored. I mean, you're playing music.
Yeah.
You're getting paid to play music
in
front of people, and you're going to go.
Yeah.
That's stupid. I mean, I the reason I play and act the way I do now is because when I started playing, I played and acted that way.
Okay.
I grew up like Pete Way was one.
Yeah.
He was one of my heroes. I mean, Steve Harris, all those guys, they all got it from Pete Way.
Right.
He was had the foot up and that leg bouncing, and he played cool stuff, and I got to be friends with Pete, and I loved the guy to death. He was great, but he was one of my heroes of that, and same with, I wasn't a big AC/DC fan, but I loved, the way Angus was. Yeah. That was Kim Simmons, he was being Kim Simmons, because if you go back and watch the old footage of him, he's doing that,
right.
And I liked, and I was, my first bands were, my first big band I was in was like a speed metal band, and we were all, everybody's heads are spinning in circles. We're jumping up in the air, and it was just natural because growing up in Oklahoma and Texas, all the bands were like that, When I was growing up, Pantera was still a cover band. You'd go see them, and it was like seeing a Judas Priest in a club.
Right? Okay.
Stacks of speakers, we all had our own light systems and our own PAs, and, you'd play 3 nights or 4 nights somewhere doing, 3 sets, and, it'd be like your Dokken and Rat, and then you'd, put in some Metallica, maybe some Halloween, or, whoever was out at the time,
right.
in the 80s. And, and then you'd sneak in, Testament or something, try to get heavier.
Yep.
And you tried not to do that much because most of our songs were heavier,
right,
and fast. So you could get by with it, by sneaking stuff in. But you would go see these bands, and every band was like that. And it's funny because then we'd all go to L.A. to finally do a show somewhere, and it would, but it was metal band, so it was, some weird venue that you've never heard of,
mm-hmm.
and there's like 100 people, and you'd go see all the bands, and none of them moved.
Right.
It was like watching a painting dry,
Yeah.
Except the painting might move if you stare at it too long,
Right.
But it was so weird. I couldn't get it, All the bands had to be like that, and then same with the East Coast. There was a lot of the like Rat Child America. I don't know if you remembered them. It was Shannon Larkin was the drummer.
Okay.
Brad Devins was the singer, bass player. They were killer. They were on Atlantic, and when before they got signed, they were a cover band. We always called them hair farmers because they had the longest hair of any band ever. I mean, it was just
hair
long.
farmers,
and all of them were just perfectly. I mean, even Shannon had half his hair was black, half was white. He would stand up playing double bass, just spinning his head in a circle, playing this incredible stuff in clubs. They weren't even signed,
Right.
And it was like, holy shit, this is awesome, And that's what I thought everybody was supposed to do.
Right.
And then some of these bands that we loved, like Heathen and Exodus and Testament and all these bands, then you go see them and they didn't do anything. They were just,
right.
standing there banging, and we're like, what are you doing?
Right.
You go see Pantera. Phil's doing backflips into the crowd, and then get back up and he'd sing a little bit, throw his mic down, beat somebody up, throw him out of the club, come back, finish it,
It's like suicidal tendencies,
Yeah,
Same
exactly.
thing. You're like, fucking like, raw.
Yeah. And it's funny because I even watched watching Phil from those early days. So in the beginning, Phil, he was, real in shape. He had this long hair, bullet belt, no shirt, half mic stand like Freddie Mercury. And he sounded like Rob Halford,
Right.
And he was just banging. Cowboys from Hell came out and he got a little more Henry Rollins had kind of, influenced a little, and, some of these other guys. And then literally they went on tour, and it was Alice in Chains, Pantera, and Suicidal. And all of a sudden, Phil had this new thing that he got off mic, and he wasn't like ripping him off. He was just kind of like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to do my version,
Yeah.
But all the bands that I grew up around, they all did that. Everybody said, oh, wow, that's cool. I'm going to do this,
Mm-hmm.
And
that was
other bands.
That was very East Coast, though.
Yeah.
Guys like Anthrax were all over the fucking place. They were,
exactly. There's those, all those cool bands like that. And I have nothing against all the, like Slayer. Still love Slayer.
Oh, God,
one of my favorites. They don't really move. The songs do it, but they always looked cool.
Right.
They still didn't just stand there. It wasn't like, like seeing Chris Poland in Megadeth. I hated it, because he was killer in all the stuff he was playing, but it just didn't. I always hated the way Megadeth looked, I loved the songs, loved the playing, but hated it, they didn't have that cool thing. Slayer, I remember getting that first album, flipping it over and seeing Jeff Hanneman with the eye makeup on and the upside down cross, and I'm like, oh my God, I got to hear this.
Yeah.
And then I heard those riffs and those solos, and that's what hell would sound like if there is a hell.
Yeah.
And you're there.
It's
going to
funny.
sound like Kerry King and Jeff Hanneman.
Right. It's funny because I read somewhere that Scott Ian had once said that Slayer was the soundtrack to hell.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I mean, people.
Rain and Blood.
Right.
That intro is the scariest to this day when I hear it. It's scary.
Oh God, yeah.
It's funny. It's funny. I took my wife she didn't know anything about Slayer. She knew all that, like the 80s, normal kind of metal, but she didn't really know Slayer. And on their farewell tour, I took her to see them. And
divorce was the next day.
No. I had passes, so we were right up in the front. And
oh, nice.
Of course, it's great because at that age, all the crowd's like 50 plus.
Yeah.
So,
right.
It's not dangerous anymore,
No.
But, and she was blown away. She loved it,
Good.
I mean, because who wouldn't, you just see it, but that's the cool thing. Kerry, he just always, came out with the big screws and nails coming out of his arm.
Yeah.
And, he just looked, he looked so
very
violent.
very Blackie Lawless-esque with the saw blade. And,
Yeah.
Who was it?
I did the same thing.
Who was it? Jim.
Oh,
When I
really?
was young.
Jim Brewer, the comedian.
Yeah.
He talks about Slayer's like Slayer. He's got this like crazy
we used
shit.
to go get my first band. We couldn't afford like the cool leather stuff, so you'd go get like black vinyl, like you'd redo your seats with, or find an old seat you could cut it and just cut it around, and then put snaps on it on the inside. Then we'd take screws and nails and just shove them from the backside, and then just put like whatever kind of tape we had on the back, just so they wouldn't come out. And we'd come on stage, and they would be huge, and we thought we were the, we thought we were the coolest, but that was the deal. Everybody, you had to look like you were in a band back then.
Yeah.
Right.
But one thing I hate, of all things that I hate about like the Metallica movement, was that
jeans, T-shirts.
Before that, everybody on stage looked the part.
Yes.
And even once the jeans thing took over, even like in late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
But you still had to look like a band, like the band I was in, everybody had jeans and stuff, leather jackets, first song, no shirts, head spinning, but we all looked like a band,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Once it got into the whole, oh man, who's that?
Grunge.
Oh, he's in the band? Yeah. It's like,
grunge guys are coming out in shorts and flip-flops and a
flannel shirt
with no sleeves, and you're going, well, I just saw them in the front row in the pit, and I didn't know that was holy.
I didn't know they were them.
Yeah. And I'm just as guilty. I mean, there's been shows that we play in the summertime, and it's like, fuck this, I'm doing shorts, and everybody's like, dude, come on, just
I still try to, even when I play cover gigs, I have my clothes, same clothes I'd wear on stage playing with Steelheart.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have on with the cover band, even if I'm playing, a bunch of bluesy stuff.
Sure,
right. But that's it.
But you look cool doing it.
Yeah. I have to look like me.
That's right.
We're finding more and more bands are getting back to the production aspect of it, and going back old school thinking and putting on a show rather than just performing.
Yeah.
And
what it's about.
That's what it's about, And even if you're in a cover band, and for the people that are listening that are, you're still doing your cover band thing out of your basement or your garage, and you're going to play clubs around. If you stand out from all the other misfits around you, then do that.
Yep.
Whatever it takes. If you're in a disco band, wear the fucking velvet pants. If you do something to stand out.
Wear the bell bottoms.
Fucking yacht rock. What the fuck is that?
I love it. There's a band here in Oklahoma that these kids, I mean, they're all like, I don't think any of them's even 21 yet, and they look like they're in Motley Crue or one of those bands. I mean, the singer's like a little Vince Neil. They dress like, little girls. From the 80s. With the tight spandex, and it's so cool.
Yeah.
To me, when I see it, it's like perfect.
Yeah, we've got a couple bands around here that still do that.
Yeah,
I'm not going to mention names because, in
my
opinion, they kind of suck.
Why would you?
But still, they're doing the right thing.
Yeah, no,
you know.
No, they are.
And these guys, and this band I was talking about, they're all original.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
That's their thing.
That's awesome.
They're called Eyebolt.
And
they're
shout out.
Yeah, and they're they're
really
really cool.
I'm going to write it down.
Yeah.
I'm going to reach out to them, and I'm going to say, hey, Rev Jones himself says that we should reach out to you.
They're from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Also, there, I'm reaching out. No,
good.
You're reaching out.
Whatever.
I'm finding that the cover. I don't know how it is in your area. Cover bands have just taken over everything. Original bands are like back in the '80s. If you were in a cover band, it was like pussy. Right, you selling out. I mean, I was never in a cover band until later, and I was like, well, this is a lot easier. Because all these, and now everybody that goes out, like you said, they're in their 50s and they're like, we want to hear Journey. And I'm like, yeah, great. I can't wait to sing it again. Yeah.
It's kind of the same. I mean,
turn the radio on.
There's a really good, in Oklahoma, there's always been a great original scene. Still is. You know, every now and then I'll get on one of those shows with the Rev Jones band, and it's cool just to see, you know, I know most all these bands, and, you know, they all do their things that are different, and it's cool, you know, they all do well. You know, there'll be several hundred people at the shows, you know. It's great. Cover band wise, there's a lot of places to play, and, you know, most of them are your standard cover bands. They just do it, you know, they all got jobs, you know.
Yeah.
They're not trying to be anything other than, you know, going and making $100 a night, you know. And I do it all the time. When I'm here, I love to go play cover, you know. I mean, I'm in a cover band where the two guys, we all three sing, so we do everything from the Beatles to Metallica, you know.
Oh, wow.
I saw you singing Stand Up and Shout. You know, that was pretty badass. You hit some of those notes.
I sing all the Priest and the Dio, and, you know, I got that kind of voice, you know. But it's cool. I mean, it shocks people going from, you know, playing the Beatles something,
yeah,
you know, to playing Rainbow in the Dark, you know,
right?
Yep.
You know, or we play all the Deep Purple, and, you know, it's like,
and
it's cool because most of the cover bands stick with we're going to do the Tom Petty type stuff, or we're going to do, you know, the hair metal stuff, you know, or whatever. They always stick to stuff, and it's stupid. If you're going to play covers, play everything.
Play everything.
We do a thing.
Yeah.
You want us to do a song? Tip us. If we don't know it, we'll start it for $10. $20, we'll fake it, and you can accept it how it is.
Freebird was always $100.
Yeah, and the last two shows I played 2 shows ago, we told somebody 100, and they put it in there, so we played it. I never played it in my life, and we didn't know how to end it, so we made it longer than it should be. It just kept going, and I'm like, stop it. So then a couple of weeks ago, I was telling the story, and somebody walked up and dropped 100 in, so we had to play it again. So that was added to the list.
That was his line.
That was my line.
That was his line. Everybody, Freebird. He's like, $100, and everybody's like, oh, you're a dick. And
show me.
Yeah, we do it for 100.
Show me.
Yeah.
And hell, then you start playing it, they don't even know what it is because nobody really knows the song. They just know to yell Freebird. You know?
Right.
Correct.
They know the intro and, you know.
And then everything else in the
another part, yeah.
Yeah, well, we would we would mix it around. We'd go from doing a Disturbed song to doing Eddie Money. I mean, if you're mixing it right, if you're throwing it in there, people, and you can keep the people moving, they'll dance to anything or have fun with anything. So
sure they will.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. It's entertainment. You know, that's what.
Yeah.
Did you start with the bass, or did you start guitar, or?
Pretty much. I mean, before I actually started, like everybody in my dad's side of the family, they all play guitar. You know, just strumming and singing. You know,
that's cool.
So my dad had taught. You know, I grew up with. My dad's only 20 years older than me, so the music in my house was awesome. You know, you had, you know, like the cool stuff of the 60s and the 70s, and then, you know, you had the country, and then you had, you know, a little bit of everything, you know. Yeah. And so I started going to concerts real early because of that. And, you know, I grew up with, you know, him playing and singing. Every now and then I'd want to play, so I'd get the other guitar. And so I knew chords.
Yeah. Right.
I didn't know why they went together. You know, I couldn't play anything other. I could sit and strum, and, he's going to C, and I could do it, you know.
Right.
So when I finally decided I wanted to start playing music, I had I guess a jump start in a sense that, okay, I already know these chords, and I know how to do this. That's it. That's all I knew.
Right.
And so I really wanted to be a bass player. And we went to the first store we went to get me, they didn't have a bass, you know, so I was like, all right, well, they had this cool Les Paul, you know, like it was a K Les Paul, and I was like, oh, that's cool, looks like Randy Rhoads, you know. Right. So I'll get that. I got this Holmes on stage amp, and I got that, and I started playing, and I learned, within 3 months, I'd learned a bunch of songs. And then I met this, as a buddy of mine's cousin played guitar. So I went and watched his band. They were all in high school. Watched them play. I was like, they were playing like Paranoid and Fast Way.
Yeah.
All those songs. And then I've actually played a couple of songs with them because one of the guitar players went there. I played in his amp. Never played through a distortion. I'm like, oh my God, this is cool. We're talking complete beginner. I still didn't, really know yet. And so then the next week, the other guitar player, when he'd showed up and I met him. He came up to me in high school. I was a freshman. He came up and he's like, hey man, we're gonna kick that other guy out. You want to come play guitar? And I'm like, yeah. So I joined the band. So I've been playing 3 months and I was in the band. And so, we got about 20 cover songs or something. That's all we did. We didn't have no originals.
Right.
And the problem was the bass player, he worked weekends and nights. So he would jam with us once a week. So I would play bass, and I always wanted to play bass, so it was cool,
Yeah. Right.
So then we get these gigs, and I'm using his bass, and he had this Explorer bass, and it was like black and yellow, like animal striped, and so I'm up there playing bass these shows going, this is what I want to do. I don't want to play guitar. I want to play bass. So we had to, after about a month, I had to go sell my guitar so I could buy a bass. And then, so basically I've been playing bass since the beginning,
When did you adapt your 8-finger style, though? Or were you always just like, I just want to do it this way because it looks
early,
cool?
I mean, pretty early on the, so all the stuff that I always liked growing up, I went back. So once I started playing bass, I'm like, all right, I got to go. Because I always liked the bass, the sound of it. I never knew that's what I was really liking until I played bass. So that made me go back and learn, in 60s and 70s, everybody was great on bass.
Yep.
80s, nobody. There's about 4 guys,
Right.
So I went back, and my favorite bass to this day, Tony Levin is my favorite bass player.
Okay.
And this Peter Gabriel stuff, the John Lennon stuff, King, especially King Crimson. So I was so into those 3 albums with Adrian Belew, what they're doing now, the beat,
Mm-hmm.
So 3 of a Perfect Pair, all that, and Elephant Talk, which is what the whole entire concept of Primus is that song. Yeah. Everything that happens in that song, the way he sings it, the way the bass is, the time signature, everything, it's so Primus, and it's that bum ba bum ba ba da 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 da. So I had to learn it, and I wasn't able to, I didn't even know it was a Chapman stick that he was playing on.
Yeah,
right. I had all these guitar player magazines, and I'd seen ads with him, but I didn't realize that's what it was. I just thought, wow, that's a weird looking thing, And so I had to learn how to play it on a bass, and so then later on, I was like, a Chapman stick, I'm going to get one. So I bought a Chapman stick, and for a while I played, I had a war guitar, 12 string. And so, but that all started from playing it on bass. I had no other choice but to learn how to play it on 4 strings,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had that, and then, like the Eddie Van Halen's, of course, I'd seen Billy Sheehan early, and of course that obviously influenced me. I love Billy's playing.
Right.
I think the way I do stuff is completely different. Every now and then I'll do the same kind of digital, the same little triplet things that he does. But I try not to, even if it's a cool idea, I try not to do it that much because I don't want it to sound like Sheehan,
Yeah.
He's more of a 1-finger, Eddie Van Halen tapper,
Yep.
And I like to think of it as I'm adding a couple of fingers,
Yeah. Well, that was it. I mean, you're coming over the top the way you are and everything, and it's just.
Yeah. And I try to.
It's cool to watch.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, one thing that I learned too from learning to do like the Tony Levin stuff is the way he plays Chapman stick. So most of the guys are playing a bass line, doing chords,
Mm-hmm.
playing melodies, but he's more like, because he's a bass player, so he's making this little musical combination, like a bass line. So, kind of like that bump, ba 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 dun dun dun, but he's just using both hands to get it.
Right.
So I started incorporating that to where if I'm going to use them, I want to use it to where it's, not, like, two parts, but to where it's one part blended. So actually when I had the war guitar, the 12-string, it was, instead of melody guitar strings on one side and bass on one side, it was bass on both sides.
Right.
One side was fretless. So it gave me this ability to, do some cool things. And something that you can do that a piano player can't do is I can pound the same note on different strings, the exact same octave.
Yeah.
Right. You can't do it because that key has to lift up,
Right.
So that thing where you'd have to have two pianos to do it,
Yep.
And hammering those strings to me sounds like how a piano, when you hit that piano hard, that that hammer hits that string.
Yep.
So that's kind of what made me want to do that, And then this shit is just for looks.
Well,
I'll tell you who influenced me probably the first time of playing over the neck, and it was seeing Talus, and that was Mitch Perry.
Right.
So that I seen Talus, it was the Yngwie, it was Yngwie and Talus. It was the first Jeff Soto tour, and Mitch Perry was the guitar player at Talus, and they would both, Sheehan would do some cool stuff, but Mitch was playing like the whole night over the neck.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And then I seen him play with Edgar Winter, and it's the same deal. And I was like, that's killer, And then like Michael Badio, going back and forth, definitely influenced me because I met him. I've been friends with him since '87.
Okay.
I was at the Dallas Guitar Show, and I was hanging out with Daryl Dimebag, and he was playing at the Randall booth. He just started playing Randall, and Dean and Michael was there because he played Randall and Dean, and that was the first time I seen him, and it was just unbelievable. He's this stuff, and that really influenced me a lot.
Yeah.
But it's kind of one of those things that I never practiced this.
Right.
I really don't even practice even to this day. I'll get on little, things where I'll overly practice for a month, and then I won't touch a bass unless I'm playing,
Right.
But when I'm on stage, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I got this run coming up. I wonder if I could do it over the neck. And then I do it. It's like I challenge myself on stage. Like, I bet you can't. I literally, in my mind, I think, I'm going to try this. And if it doesn't work, who cares?
Yeah.
I tried it,
Right.
And it probably looked really cool,
right.
doing it.
Yeah.
And, but it's in your mind anyway, your brain tells your fingers what to do. You can practice all day long and you think that you're just building up this, and you're not. You're building this up because this is telling this what to do. So
correct.
You're still playing the same notes. You're just using different fingers. And some people, once you kind of think of it that way, it makes it easier. But the problem is if you don't start doing it in the beginning, it's hard. It's like trying to learn how to play left-handed.
Right.
Right. Kidding.
You know how to play, but your level is like, oh my God, picking is, and I can play left-handed. The chords, this hand is fine. This one, not so good.
Right.
Really bad. Somebody else wants to strum, I can play the Eagles all day long, but this is really hard, it's like going back if you already know how to play to an upper level, it's hard to go back and learn how to read music.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you have to slow yourself way down to this level. Okay, that's a C, and that's and that's too frustrating as a human being. It's why people can't learn languages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the. It's not D, der, or das. It's the.
Right.
It's like trying to go learn how to drive a 5-speed in England on the wrong side.
Wrong
You're
side
going,
of the road.
oh shit! I know what's got to happen right now, but
Yeah.
This foot wants to stomp on the on the brake to get out of the way. Yep. Nope. You're.
It's me. I had a hard time driving an automatic because I always had a stick all my life, and my big thing was the light would turn green. I'd either slam it into park, or I'd slam on the brake, hitting the clutch, and I'm like, God, it took me forever just to even do that, you know. Right. So, but I was lucky that I early on, you know, experimented with, and I can actually say the first band I was in, we did a 2-song EP that actually just came out a couple years ago. We did it in '86, and we were like Iron Maiden. Both guitar players. One was they were both like Yngwie, you know. Okay. We were like 16, 17 years old. The drummer was amazing. The singer sang on a couple albums with me later. You know, he sounded like a cross between Jeff Tate and Bruce Dickinson, you know, and I played just like Steve Harris, you know, and when I watch the videos and hear that, I'm like, damn, I'd only been playing like less than a year, and I'd already got that level, but only because I immediately started, you know, playing. Oh, we're playing Iron Maiden. Okay, I got to learn these songs, and I just sit, you know, with the record and moving the needle back and I would actually learn it and just practice it. And, you know, I'd sit at school and just practice it, but I was practicing the right things, you know.
Right.
If you get finally good enough, but you've just been driving an A note, it's hard to go to, you know, playing Geddy Lee parts, you know.
Yeah.
And same deal, if you have been setting down for 2 years playing in your room, now you're on stage and you don't know what to do. I was on stage immediately. You know, and I thought, okay, you're supposed to jump around. You know, you're supposed to do something stupid with your hair. You know, supposed to look cool and weird and mean. You know, but because of that, I was able to evolve faster. You know,
right. Mm-hmm. Now you've got a video out, an instructional video that a lot of people watched.
Mm-hmm. I sold quite a few. I think I only have 2 copies left.
Okay. I was wondering if that's something that you
send our old bass player one.
Yeah, no, you need to send our old bass player an oil can first of all, just to get his joints moving. Is that something that you find yourself trying to do more instructional stuff, or do you just don't have the time? Or
I love teaching. The problem is, it's hard to as a bass player teacher. It's hard to, you know, like if you're a guitar player, you can find students all day long.
Right.
You know? People want to learn, and they might be beginners, and it's hard for me to teach a beginner. I actually had a friend of mine I've known for 30 years decided he wants to learn to play bass for fun, you know.
Okay.
So I started giving him lessons, and we're talking complete beginner. Okay, this is an E string, you know.
Right.
And it's a little hard for me to grasp how to do that, but at the same time, sometimes when I'm trying to teach somebody, because I'm trying to be to me, it's all easy, you know, in my head.
Right.
You know, people go to school 4 years to learn music theory.
Right.
And it's really, there's 7 notes in a key, period.
Right.
So you can do as many math problems as you want, but that isn't 4 years of music, you know.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things that I could teach you a lesson. I could explain it in an hour. You might not get it for 4 years, but if you studied exactly what I told you in that hour for, you know, every day and freed your mind of that it's going to be hard, because most people think, you know, oh, it's music theory, it's hard, it's hard, you know, all these names and these modes, and to me that's stupid. You add all this stuff and it confuses people. You know?
Right.
It's you know, there's 7 notes in every key, and you just pull, you know, you just section it off, starting from here. That's a mode. Who cares what it's called? Call this one 1, call this one 2, this one 3, you know.
Right.
If it's no different than if you actually learned everything instead of with the letter name, if you learned it as numbers, you actually will learn it faster. It makes more sense to you.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But so I love teaching people, but the problem is, you know, that that frustration that comes back. I couldn't be a school teacher.
No.
So, and I
right.
could teach every day, but it would have to, it has to be somebody that really wants to learn and that does. Because I've had guys that are really good players, and I'll send them home and stuff, and they come back and I say, "You didn't work on that."
Right.
Oh yeah, I worked on it. No, you didn't. I could tell 100% that you didn't. You got frustrated and you set it down, and that makes me not want to teach somebody. And that's why the video was cool.
Right.
So the story behind the video, since you guys like weird stories, so it's kind of a weird long one, but so I was in Michael Schenker Group. It's 2006. We had actually we did like 300 shows that year, and we played every country but America. I mean, we were everywhere. So the American tour was actually, it was booked, and then they started doing the numbers, and he was managed by Holger, the guy that owns Vakken. And so he's looking at the numbers, and he's going to lose money because he's not thinking about, after this many people, you're getting this much money. You play House of Blues in Chicago, they're selling those boxes, you're making $10,000.
Right.
He's not thinking of that. He's just looking at guarantees. So he wanted people to take, less pay and this. So the tour canceled. And so I went and got another gig. And I actually quit the band because I was fed up with that kind of, thing. And I'd already been paid for my last week. So I owed them 1 week of tour. And they were going to Japan, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Thailand, a couple other countries. So I had to do it. No, I had no choice. So I go to do the tour, and first night in Japan, kind of weird. The whole year Michael hadn't drank or anything.
Okay.
He's been great all year. So, but we've been off for 2 months because that tour canceled.
Right.
So, so now he's had a chance to, have a couple of drinks, and he never was really a drinker. One problem is that he used to have like nervous medicine, Valium or whatever.
Yep.
And then he would drink a beer, and then it was a chemical imbalance, and you would think that he's been drinking all night,
Wow.
off one beer. And and I think also because he drank Bud Light, and he's German, so I think it poisoned his blood. And I mean, it shocked me.
Yeah.
But so he gets to Japan, and they strip search him, and he's fighting with a girl that he was seeing. So he thinks that she set him up, that she made a call and did it. And I'm telling him, if it's that easy, I would have had you strip searched. I think it's funny if it's that easy, but. So we do the first couple of shows, and in the third show, we come on stage, and he's just hammered. And what it was is that he drank the night before, and he couldn't go to sleep, and then he gets nervous that he's not going to be able to play, so he would drink. And it was this thing that had happened years before.
Okay.
But it was gone now. And it came back just this one tour. And so... And the last time that he had been to Japan was with UFO, and he walked off stage, and that was the end of the tour. He couldn't play. So here we are back at the same venue, the same song, and he walks off stage. And that's the end of the show. He said, I could not play. He walks off. We're just like, oh. So we're setting out, we're giving hundreds of guitar picks and sticks and away, and we're signing autographs, apologizing, and so that we have a day off. We do the next show. It's fine. We fly to Thailand. Everything's fine. We get there. MTV Asia's there. There's like 6,000 people waiting for us at the airport. We're like the Beatles. It's like,
right.
We didn't even go through customs. Yeah, we didn't go through customs. They took us through this other room, and we just come out and they interview us. We're like, awesome. Play the show. There's like 7,000 people in this arena, and I kept trying to go talk to him before, and they wouldn't let me. Oh, he's doing something. He's doing this.
Sure.
He walked on stage, and he's hammered. He couldn't play. He didn't play a note in key the whole night.
Oh.
Our sound guy, basically, since we had a second guitar player, only brought him up in the solos and kind of buried it,
Yeah.
But the problem was we could hear him,
Oh.
and it was like, oh my God. So then it's a nightmare. They were filming, MTV was filming the show, and I noticed after the second song, they were gone. They just stopped filming, and because it was obvious.
Wow.
And it was like, oh my God. So we, then we have another day off, and then we go to Hong Kong, and we play the show in Hong Kong, and he's fine. But I opened my email, and I got like thousands. What's up? Nothing was ever said. Is he sick? Is he this? And I was fed up with it because everybody's coming to me. I actually wasn't even in the band no more.
Right.
I quit. I was being forced to do this because I didn't want to pay him back a week's pay,
Right.
So, and I put an apology on my website for the talentless guitar playing that happened on stage next to me. I said, so everybody knows if it ever happens again, I'm walking off. So he didn't even care. The manager's freaking out that I wrote it. I said, I wrote it because he didn't write anything.
Right.
And then he asked me, why would you say it? Finally, we're at the airport. And we got there, and they had a problem with a visa. So they're dragging him around trying to get a visa. Now he starts drinking again.
Oh, no.
And so then he starts trying to wants me to beat him up. He's like, I know you want to beat me up. And I'm like, I'm not going to do it.
Not really.
Because then you'll owe him 3 weeks worth of pay.
Yeah. So then he's like, then you're fired. I said, I already quit, but I'll take that so you can fly me home. And then he looks at Pete Holmes, the drummer, and he said, and you're fired too because you're his friend. And Pete's like, thank God, let's go. So we ended up, then they end up leaving him. We leave him wandering the streets of Hong Kong because now he's turned on his manager and his bodyguard, and
oh my God,
they just left him. So we all fly to Taiwan because that's our flight home.
Yeah.
So we get there, and the promoter has all of our gear, and it's locked in the little safe thing at the hotel. And then they're wanting us to come do these autograph things, and the manager says no. So then all of a sudden, we're told that they're keeping our gear. And if we leave the hotel, they're going to kill us.
Oh my God!
And all this stuff. So I called the embassy. I'm like, hey, what's this? Is blah blah blah, organized crime. And they said that's not how organized crime works in Taiwan.
Oh,
100%, it is not. I wouldn't believe any of it. This is what they're telling me. So, but we can't do anything. We don't know what's going on. All of our gear is gone. So we all fly home. And I'm like, what the hell? And we're, trying to get our stuff back. Don't know how to do it. So, January, right after that, I'm at the NAMM show. Gary Kaler has a party. I look in there, and there's the promoter. I just walked over and said, me and you, we're having a talk right now. And he came out, and he was straight with me. He's scared to death on the spot. So he really couldn't lie.
Yeah.
Right.
And he told me, all the stuff is in a storage, and no matter what, to get our stuff, he had told them that we could get our gear back.
Okay.
They'd already paid Michael for the last show. They just wanted their money back.
Right.
But we weren't told we could get our gear back. So he's like, yeah, you can have it at any time, but you have to pay the storage fee. And the reason they did storage is because, I had 4 guitars. Well, now there's 1. They didn't want that to happen.
Right.
Somebody stealing stuff. So he made arrangements that if I paid the storage, which was like 4,000 euro is what it ended up being.
Okay.
Because this was 4 months of storage.
Right.
If I paid the 4,000 euro, I could get our gear back. And I said, okay, well, I'm coming to get it. So I called, I'm in Germany. I go and get 4,000 euro from Michael's manager. I've demanded he's, getting it, or everybody's going to know about it, and they're trying to keep this all under wraps because he has a tour, that he's wanting to do. And so the promoter arranges for me to shoot that DVD. And I don't even know. To me, maybe it's going to be on a VHS that one person sees or whatever. I don't even know what I'm doing, But so I pay to fly over there, and they pick me up. First day, we go get the gear, and I ship it back using the manager's UPS account.
Nice.
I ship the gear back. It is there before I haven't even given them the money yet.
Right.
You know, that's so to me, I actually thought in the hotel, I'm going to go home tomorrow. I'm going to change my flight and I'm going to go home tomorrow and I'm going to keep the money. You know, because I just went through all of this to get my gear, but they were completely honest with me. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and, you know, stick to my word. The next day I went and we shot the video. You know, it was all improvised. I didn't even know what they wanted. You know, they were like, did you bring backing tracks? And I'm like, no. Well, can you play solos? So I had to write 4 instrumentals, you know.
Yeah.
That I'd never even played, stuff that I'd, you know, maybe goofed on once. So in the hotel the night before, I'm having to do this. So, and I do the, you know, DVD, and it ends up being great. It's awesome. Did a couple other, you know, video interviews, then give them the money, and then they took me to the hotel. I mean, to the airport, and I flew home. And so that's how it came about. And the best part was when I got home about 2 weeks later, Michael's manager called and said, "We have not got Michael's gear yet." I said, "Oh, I didn't get that shit. It's still over there."
Oh, by the way, you're paying $1,000 a week. Right. Euro, yeah.
Left his amps and he didn't care, you know. Yeah, those guitars were all made by Dean and given to him, so he didn't lose anything.
They're still there.
Yeah,
maybe amps, they're still there.
They ended up selling. Yeah, they sold the amps, and I think all those guys kept a guitar, you know. But
right,
they didn't care. But all of my basses that I had, I bought with my hard-earned money, and I wasn't
right.
I wasn't letting somebody take it. You know?
No, not at all. You said Pete Holmes, is that the drummer from Black and Blue?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. So he was also in Black Symphony. So after Jeff Martin, Pete Holmes was our drummer in Black Symphony.
Okay, cool.
And so same deal. I got in Michael Schenker Group because Jeff Martin played on that album.
Okay.
And because Jeff was actually the last time that Michael was in UFO, Jeff was the drummer.
Okay.
And so they just did a tour. He come back. He quit the band. He's doing the first MSG album in quite a while.
Yep.
And asked Jeff who he wanted. He said, "I want somebody that's like Pete, but they can play." So, So it's funny because I sent Michael like a video of me live doing a bass solo, and then we're doing Smoke on the Water, and I sang the third verse, like each one, or I sang the second verse, and Jeff sang the third verse. Mm-hmm. Sent that, and then sent like a CD with, 10 songs completely different so he could see everything. He didn't listen to any of it because he won't listen to any music. Michael's always been that way. He won't listen to music because he don't want to be influenced.
Oh, okay.
Or later, like maybe he heard us, "Oh, I love that song," and then 2 years later he writes that song because
God.
and he won't listen to stuff. I mean, literally, he'll, "Oh, I love this album," and throw it away. But he didn't even listen. He didn't even know. He watched the video of me doing Smoke on the Water just to see me sing.
Right.
And watch the bass solo, and that's it. And I didn't know this. I get to Phoenix to do the album, and the first time I meet him, and he looked pretty rugged then. He had this beard. He was heavy. He had this cross tattooed on his forehead. It was supposed to be a cross, like this religious thing, but he looked like Charles Manson.
Charles Manson.
We had to tell him, "Hey, it just looks like you had a swastika and you pulled part of it off." It's kind of weird. And so he actually had it lasered off. And it's funny because years later, when I would be doing Into the Arena facing him, I could still see where it was. but he had a studio in his house, and so that's my first meeting with him is there. And we do all our stuff, and so first song I'm playing, all I remember is he's not even in there. Start tracking the bass, and it comes to this weird little break, and I don't know what to do yet. I'm just kind of goofing around, and I did this harmonic thing, and I hear slam, slam, open. "Yes, you will do this." And then he just walked out, and I'm looking at the engineer like, "What did I do?"
Right. So
then he played it back, and then I had to figure out how I did it. And it is the coolest little harmonic, scale run that fits in perfect. But I had to sit and listen and figure out how to do it.
That's great.
So that was my first Michael experience. Yeah,
that's great. That is great.
You're right.
Hey, how'd you do that?
So, we got to ask through all this time, we don't need a blooper because that was the best fucking story I've ever heard.
It is. So we'll go here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, through all the years you've been playing and stuff, who have you met or played with that you just could not believe you were playing with them or you met them?
Well, the playing with part, playing with Leslie and Michael and, I grew up, that was, Mountain was, one of my favorite bands of all time, obviously.
Right.
And UFO.
Sure.
I loved UFO. I loved, I loved the Scorpions. I wasn't as into those albums that he was on, but all the MSG stuff I loved. And so actually, and it's funny because the same thing happened with both guys is that when I got in MSG, I knew every song from every album. And I had played most of them, 20, 30 times.
Sure.
Yeah. And so being able to play them with the guy that wrote them and that, and hearing the guitar parts correct, like on stage, it's like, especially, we would be doing this, facing each other, that's pretty awesome. And the same with Leslie, except, so my favorite song of Leslie was "Why Don't You," which is West Bruce Lane.
Yeah,
and it's, to me, that's where Gene Simmons is. That's who he's trying to sound like. Is Leslie. Even his bass lines, that song, has Jack Bruce played the coolest bass lines ever on that song. So I always loved it, and I never could play it with anybody because one, you had to find somebody that could play that, and sing that, and I just never had a chance. So when I started playing in Mountain, because Corky was also in West Bruce Lane, I suggested, hey, why don't we play Why Don't You? I played it like 50 times. I know it. All right, we'll play it tonight. Love you, babe. And I'm like, cool. We gotta say, I never once played it with a band ever. And I'm playing it on stage with Corky and Leslie, and I'm like, this is cool.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it's hard to get past it. I played with a bunch of great guys like that. It's like, hell, even Carmine Apiece.
Yeah.
My favorite thing was, cause Carmine did an MSG tour, and, it was kind of weird playing the Schenker songs with Carmine, cause he didn't learn them. He just played them how he plays.
Right.
So it's kind of odd a little bit, cause the feels that are always there or not there now, and even his feel of playing the beats is slightly different.
Yep.
But so it was kind of weird playing the songs with him. But at sound check, we would play a couple of Vanilla Fudge, things, which was awesome. I'm like, because I love Tim Bogert. And so we would play that, and then he would always make me do "Do You Think I'm Sexy?" Because I played in disco bands forever. And so the do it's very hard for bass players for some reason, but I it's almost like my forte,
Yeah.
So every time we'd get to sound check, you guys play something, he would yell, "Do you think I'm sexy?" And we'd sit and sugar, and play it. He would sing it. And we'd do it.
That's awesome.
So that was pretty cool. Playing those kind of songs, with those guys was cool.
Yeah.
Playing with George Thorogood was cool, obviously. Another cool one was, so the last night of the Satch tour with Mountain, we all came out and played with them.
Oh, wow.
Doing Going Down. So I'm playing Going Down. It's me and Stu Ham both playing bass. Leslie and Satch both playing guitar. Corky's playing like percussions or something, like a snare drum and a hat or whatever, and that was pretty cool. Looking over and being on stage with those guys.
Yeah, that was very cool.
But probably one of my favorites. This will be a good one of meeting while playing was. So when I was in MSG, we were playing in New Orleans, and there was a hurricane about to happen. So Van Halen couldn't. They had to cancel their Florida shows, and they were in New Orleans, so they were at the show.
Mm-hmm.
So and that place is real small, the House of Blues there, but they didn't even use the upstairs, and it was just the guys in Van Halen, Sammy and all of them were up there.
Yeah.
So Eddie's going to get up and play Rock Bottom, and we're like, oh my God, this is awesome! I'm going to play with Eddie Van Halen, and because pretty much every guitar player from the '80s I had played with on that song, if we were somewhere, Warren DeMartini or whoever would come out, so that was, Uli Roth, everybody. So we're excited right before the encore, and we can see him up there watching, So right before the encore, they come up and say, don't call his name. He's drunk. He ain't coming up. We're like, oh. So then we get done playing, and we all run up there to try to meet him. They're gone. So we don't get to meet. We're like, oh, man, shit. So, fast forward a few years, I'm playing with Mountain on that Satch tour, and they just started Chickenfoot.
Right.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm on stage, and I look over. There's Chad Smith and Michael Anthony, and I'm like, of course,
Nice.
Michael's one of my heroes. So I'm like, oh man, this is awesome. I'm gonna get to meet Michael Anthony. So we get done playing, and I'm over there. Where's he at?
No, you're not.
Gone.
Oh no!
Gone. And all I wanted to tell him was this story, that about playing with Schenker and wanting to see him. So I can't find him. So I go take a shower, and then I'm walk up, and I'm watching Satch from the side, and somebody taps me on the arm. I look over, and it's Michael. He's a little bitty guy, and he's like, he tells me the same story, but from the other side.
Right.
He was like, man, I was watching you play. You were great. I wanted to meet you, and then they made us leave, and I'm like,
we're not worthy.
Right.
Yeah, I mean but I'm holding I'm holding my composure.
Yeah.
So then, and it was great, so, we, that was it. We, I didn't think we'd ever talk again. Then I'm at the NAMM show, another one of those great moments where I'm walking and I hear somebody, Rev! And I look over, it's Michael Anthony and his daughter. Hey, Kay! And he has to bring his daughter over. You got to see this guy play. And he's doing this. And,
Nice.
and I'm just,
Dude.
I'm like, holy shit. Michael Anthony remembers my name. And people are walking by like, like, who's
Right.
this guy?
Right.
And so it was great. So then I'm like, okay, I'll never see him again. So then I'm out on tour with George Thorogood, opening for Sammy. And that first day, Michael came up, tapping me, what's going on, Rev? And I'm like, yeah. And it was great because then I got to hang out. Now I'm friends with him now.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was that thing of one of your idols that you seen when you were, I seen band like when I was 9, 10, 11, all the way up, up through the, I only seen him once with Sammy, but every year from 79 through 84, I seen at least one show. I seen him at the US Festival.
Right.
Oh,
when I was
13,
I guess.
Nice.
We ran away from home and went there. Don't tell my parents.
I was at Billy's house.
Right.
But it was, that was, that's probably one of the coolest, memories of somebody I met.
That's cool.
There's tons of those guys that you meet, and it's like, you're, and Sammy, that's another person. Sammy is, I always loved Sammy, from Montrose, obviously, all of his solo, all the way through. But Sammy's the coolest guy in the world.
Yeah.
And so it's funny because I'm out on tour with George Thorogood as his guitar tech. And I talk to Sammy and Michael every day. Well, then the bass player had to miss like 5 shows. And so I jumped over to play bass. And I come off stage the first show, and there's Sammy. What the fuck are you doing? One of my guys get fucking sick. I got to cancel. And you're fucking doing this? God damn it. Plus,
that's awesome.
Another funny Sammy thing is that he always calls me Flea when he sees me.
Oh, God.
So he likes to do a thing where he'll take a picture with me and send it to Flea. and say, "Remember when we were here?"
Oh, that's awesome.
That's funny.
That is awesome. So, Rev, what do you got going on now?
I'm about to start working on a new album. I don't know how long it'll take it, because you don't really. It's hard to sell them anymore, It's
Right.
It takes the fun away,
Yep.
And just putting out a single, just kind of, I mean, I'll do it just to do it, My last couple did pretty good, They still do good, but the streaming thing, there's no money, and there's,
Yeah.
and unless you're getting, on playlists, nobody's listening. Even fans, they don't think about it no more. At least when you had CDs, you'd be flipping through. Oh man, Rev Jones.
Yeah.
And you'd start listening to it. But we're doing. We're starting to work on some Forte songs. I got so I got some of my stuff going. I had a thing going with Mike Orlando.
Oh yeah.
Andrew Freeman is the singer, and Achilles, the drummer for Angra.
Yes.
Plays with Wasp.
Yes.
And it was called Dance of the Damned. And they actually had already wrote the songs and recorded it. I think Mike played bass on it. And then Andy called me and said, "Hey, you want to play bass on it?" I'm like, "Yeah." So they sent me, and I retracked everything. And we actually did a video for a version of, what was it? It was the Iron Maiden song. I can't even think of what it was. I don't even remember what song it was, but we did a video. And so the last I heard that, Mike was remixing it with, putting my bass in there. And then, I went on tour, and last I talked to Andy, he just said he didn't think it was going to ever come out. Just, I don't know if they had a falling out, or if
right.
Mike, because Mike's got a lot of stuff going on at all times.
Yeah.
He's got constantly I see a video. Oh, here's the new band with
I know
with John Bush, and here's a new
Yep.
With Corey, and it's like he's always got something, and I only really know him from phone calls, and because I never met him in person, but and he works in the studio every day. He's so I don't know if it's that, but it was really cool stuff. If Dream Theater wrote cool songs with Andy Freeman singing, that's what it sounded like.
Okay.
Because it was these really intricate parts, but it was still cool. It wasn't like, somebody that's going to stand there playing guitar like this. It was like, something you're going to bang your head to,
Right.
Like the Adrenaline Mob.
Yeah. And, nothing against Dream Theater, but stand there and play like this. Anybody can do that,
But Mike's got such a really, and I call it weird because I've never seen anybody do it like that. He has a unique, weird style to him.
Yeah.
It's like he'll hold his hand and like
shake it's like it doesn't move.
Yeah.
It's like it didn't move. Yeah.
It's so weird.
Well, I'm a big Portnoy fan, so I mean, as far as the drummers are concerned,
I love Portnoy.
Shit, man, he's just
It's funny. So when that first Dream Theater came out, or not the first, but the Pull Me Under one.
Yeah.
The first one that got big. We actually, the band I was in, Forte, we actually did a bunch of dates with them right off. We had the same radio person, and we were actually getting more radio play than they were. But we had, our label was a German label. Even though there was an American office, they didn't understand why their German bands weren't doing that good over here.
Right.
They didn't understand why they needed to take $20,000 and put it in this, and we had a video that, was on, Warner used to do this, video monthly thing. And there was 800,000 subscribers that got that VHS tape every month. Every month there'd be 12 songs on it. And the one we're on is like Queensryche and Megadeth. It's all these big bands. And you can't even pay to be on it. They have to pick you to be on it.
Right.
Because our label tried to pay for other bands. They said no. They just pick you. And they picked our song to play during the opening credits.
Oh, shit.
And we're like, holy shit. And every store in the United States was sold out of our album, and they wouldn't restock.
Wow.
So we sold 14,000 copies, and that was it. They never restocked. And But so we did all these shows with Dream Theater, and I always kind of felt this weird thing between us because they technically were the headliner,
right?
And they'd come in and, all right, you guys can set up in the front. And the first show, that keyboard player, I can't remember his name. I think it was Cocksucker. So he refused to move his keyboards. I can't remember the guy's name. He was only on those first two albums.
French. It's actually Suker.
No, it was
Suker. It's a French.
I don't think it wasn't Derek Sherinian, right?
No, it was before Derek.
Before Derek.
I've known Derek forever. I can't think of the guy's name. He was a great player
right now.
But anyway. So he wouldn't move his keyboards. They just put like a little cover over them. And you know how I am on stage. So first song, both those keyboards were laying next to me on the ground, and the keyboard stand was in the crowd, and they were having to go out after it. I didn't do it on purpose. I just hit it.
Yeah.
It's in my way. My mic stands right next to it. I hit it, and evidently I'd spit all over the one of the keyboards, and I'd spilled a beer or Heineken or something on it, and they were freaking out about it. And I said, "What's what you get for fucking leaving them in front of an idiot? Look at me, I'm a fucking spinner. I can't see where I'm going." So the next day, they were completely off stage. There was a big sign. Swear to God, there's a big sign that said, "Please don't spit on my keyboards."
Okay.
And we did. After that, we couldn't do any more shows with they. It was always, if it came up, it was like no. So then we went to this thing they used to have called Concrete Foundations Forum. Concrete Management would do. It's kind of like what the thing in Austin is. It's like just a music event, but it was at LAX, and it was all the cool bands like Kiss played, and Widowmaker, and Scorpions, and it was where everybody put their new shit out. And we were there, and Dream Theater was doing this autograph session, and guys I was with went to get autographs. I said, "Oh, I'm going with you." So I walked up with that, and each one of them went,
"Fuck you!"
Wouldn't even look at me. Except then I get down to the end, and Mike was cool with me, and his dad was there.
Right.
Okay. And I had a Beatles shirt on. So his dad's like, "Oh, you love the Beatles? The way you looked? Oh, that's awesome. You got to give him a pass to come to the party tonight." So they invited me to the Dream Theater party up in the suite.
Oh my God.
And those guys hated it because I come walking in, and I had the long dreadlocks, and
Yeah.
I was probably 19, 19, 20. I was a cocky little shit. But
dude,
I always liked Mike, But
I haven't had a chance. I was at Metal Legion show at House of Blues last year during NAMM, and friends of mine were playing in the show. And I'm like, "Oh, cool. So you're playing in the show, so we're going to be able to meet?" No, you're not meeting shit. You're standing over here. These guys are going to float in and float out, but
you're going to hang out in catering until they're done.
Yeah, no, I couldn't even. Dude, it was like, "Hey, let's go get beer." And he goes, "Well, all they have is NA. That's all they're letting us drink is the non-alcoholic beer." And I was like, "Well, that's okay," because I had recently quit drinking at that point. I was like, "Yeah, I'll take that," But it's just like, wow, because
it happens.
Metal Legions drink the good beer, and everybody got to drink shit beer.
Oh yeah,
you get the good shit.
Yeah.
Anyways. You're going to be on stage. You're going to be on stage with Paul Rogers. Awesome, but you have to stand over there.
Yeah,
don't look at him.
Yeah, you have to be behind pay no attention to the opening band behind the curtain.
So funny quick story. Uli Roth, weirdest fucking guy I ever met in my life.
He just recently played here.
He's always been nice to me. Weird guy. He stopped talking to me. Me and Leslie, the first shows after Leslie lost his leg, were with Uli.
Yeah,
we came up during his set, played a couple of songs, and then we all played.
Yeah.
And Leslie made a fucking funny joke on stage. It was in New York at BB King's, and Leslie said, "You ever think you'd see a Nazi and a Jew playing together?" And Uli just took it completely.
Oh yeah,
it was funny. Half the crowd went, "Oh God," it's Leslie. It's
exactly.
Yeah.
And because Leslie, there was no filter, but ever since then, Uli won't talk to me. But so we were on tour and he was opening for MSG, Chicago House of Blues. He comes out to do Rock Bottom. So they let all the press back in for the last song to shoot. So I'm like, well, I'm going to get right next to Uli, so I get pictures with Uli. You know?
Right.
I mean, his guitar playing does absolutely nothing for me. He's an amazing player, but it does nothing. I don't
right there with
really
you.
get it. I don't get it, but still, you know, it's Uli Roth. It's cool. So, and we start the song, and he starts playing, and we had a real low stage volume, and he just had like a hashtag, and it was on stun. And Michael's looking at me going, kick him, like I'm going to kick him, and it's going to get him back in time because he's a little ahead or behind us for a second, and we can't hear anything else, you know. But I'm right up on him, you know, doing this, and he's looking at it. I keep hearing, Rev, you know, this little weird voice. And so the next day he comes up to me and he's like, oh, I forgot to tell you that I do not like it when people touch me or stand next to me when I play. It makes me nervous, and please don't do it. I'm like, okay, yeah, perfect. So the next night, 100 press people once again with cameras. So what happens? Dum, right up on him. My head spinning. It's going above his. You know, I don't give a shit. He's on my stage. You know,
right? That's awesome.
And Rev, please, Rev. And then they had to tell me. He had his guy tell me the next day. He's scared of tattoos. So if he sees somebody with tattoos, he automatically thinks, you know, convict.
Oh, God.
Mean biker, and he's So the very next night we're in Detroit. They tell me this. 2 of my tattoo buddies come, and they're covered.
Right.
Super nicest guys in the world.
Sure.
Probably nicest guys you'll ever meet, but they look real frightening. Like if I didn't know them, I wouldn't talk to them.
Right.
Pretty fucking scary. Well, they're there, and they don't even know who Uli is, but I say, hey, Uli, is it cool if my friends get a picture with you? Oh, yes, Rev, whatever, anything for you. And they come over, they put their arms around him. And it's a camera, an actual camera. And I'm like, hold on a second.
Click.
Click. Okay. And he's please, Rev, please.
That's
I
awesome.
took my time doing the pictures.
How the fuck does he do NAMM, though? He does NAMM. He stands there, but he stands behind a wall of. Now it made sense because
it should make sense.
We met him, and
I think he was mostly because I was leaning up on him. You know, like trying to. I wasn't that I was trying to bother him. I was trying to get him to like rock out. You know,
interact.
Cool.
Yeah.
You know, he's got that fucking. He had a purple velvet hat that used to be Jimi Hendrix and he had it on. He has these purple velvet pants that used to be Jimi Hendrix. He's got this vest on. There's a feather, you know. Oh, would you like to see my feather? You know, sticking out.
Wow.
He's got these little Dutch clog shoes on or something, wooden things.
Yeah.
He looks like he talks like he's from another, the 13th century or something.
I just want to be in the band ABBA someday. I want to play with ABBA.
Yeah. It's that, I was sitting in front of the fire and I was talking to the spirit of Johann Sebastian Bach, and Jimi Hendrix spirit flew in and said, oh my God, Uli, you are so good.
You look so good in my pants.
Yeah, that's what he says. He says shit like that.
Oh my God.
Like,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Dude,
yeah, that's great.
You know damn well this is going to be a TikTok snippet, right?
This
whole little thing is definitely
going
to be a fucking TikTok
Feel
snippet.
free.
And the thing is,
I'm not ashamed to make fun of people.
Dude,
had we talked to him before he came to Sharky's?
Who, Uli?
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Had I known, I'd
That's what I'm saying.
I'd have had my whole bike club roll in. But they had all rolled in, but standing right in front of the stage.
Hell yeah, dude.
Chanting, Uli, Uli. Yeah, we're coming to eat your soul.
Tell me about Hendrix, Uli.
Yeah, we're coming to eat your soul.
Do those pants still smell like Hendrix?
Well, I guess you got into Hendrix pants after all.
Yes, you did.
What the fuck?
Anyway.
Dude, that was the best story ever.
It was.
That's
the best way to close right there.
It
really is.
You realize
I don't want to go. You can only go down from here. I don't want to go down.
Right,
dude. Well, sounds like someone went to not without my feather.
Right.
Yeah.
You're going.
What the fuck? No. There it is. You're going to hell.
Fucking Barry White didn't pop up there.
Spirit of Barry. Anyway.
Rev, we got to have you back on.
Dude.
There's so much more. We've
There's
only
more.
scratched the surface.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
We would love to. We'd love to find a way to get some of the promoters out here to get you guys. Out here.
Out here.
I don't know if you've played Central New York before.
Only with Schenker and I think it's it and Leslie.
Yeah, not Fuel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever I played with Fuel, the tour I did, we played a couple of. I just don't remember where.
Right.
Because I did it for like 2 months basically. It was in 2004, and it was all East Coast.
Right.
And we were in that area a lot, but I don't really remember exactly where. But
We'll see if we can pair them up with Talus.
There you go.
Yeah. Dude, thank you so much for being part of the show.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Yes.
It was
a blast.
Oh, dude.
Good. I'm glad you had fun.
Are you going to NAMM this year? Next year?
I haven't been in a while. I just never go anymore. I did it for like 15, 16 years straight. Man, it was cool, and then I missed a couple, and then I went back for one, and it kind of lost. They started letting so many just everyday people in.
Yes.
That it kind of lost. All of a sudden, it became this, lines, and it wasn't as cool when they changed the Hilton to like a gigantic concert. It was like, oh, it's weird.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a little bit too much, but I'll tell you one thing: doesn't matter who you are. If you have endorsed artist on your badge, they don't know who. But I mean, it's like, who are you? I got a fucking podcast, dude. You have no idea who I am. I play in a cover band in upstate New York. You don't know who the fuck I am. But they just, I gotta get a picture. I mean,
Sure.
J-Rose jamming on some guitars, and people
awesome,
are like, we gotta get a picture of him. I was like,
yeah.
But hanging out with the guys from
Get a
Steel
picture of
Panthers.
the short Jewish guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you saying? Don't say that.
I can.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to send Uli after you.
Whatever.
All right, brother. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Man.
We are going to roll out, and I'm going to send you an email with some follow up stuff. If you send me, we want to send you some stuff. So
Yeah.
Sounds good, man.
And anything
Thanks
you've
for
got
having
to
me.
anything you got to promote, let us know.
Hit us up and we'll get it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah.
If you send me the links to the purchase,
send the links and we'll
post it.
I will 100%.
And the
Awesome.
and the 17 listeners, at least 3 of them will buy it.
Oh, good. Good.
Our
Tens
listeners.
of dollars. Tens of dollars.
Dude, I'm 100 air.
Right, I'm 100
I
air.
had just hit 100 air status.
I'm 100 air.
Yep.
I was until taxes hit.
Yeah, well, now I'm a Dallinair.
Right, a Dallinair. I like that.
All right, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
Thanks, brother.
We'll talk to you.
Peace out,
All
man.
right.
See you. Bye.
See ya. There it is.
That was fun.
Let's run this music here, brother.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
There it is, Rev Jones.
That was fun, man.
The good, the band, the ugly.
Yep.
That was funny as fuck.
So fun.
Dude. Hey, we want to thank our sponsors, Blackened Heart Tattoos.
Hogwash.
Hogwash. Wash your hog.
With Hogwash.
That's a motorcycle. Yeah. Uncle Jimmy's Local Live Music. Print Shop Underground.
Oh, man. Snarky Productions.
And Toffee Break Coffee. Can't forget that. What we always say to everybody,
Be good to each other.
don't be dicks. Peace, everybody. We can let it go for like 12 seconds.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Make it an even time?
Yeah, well, doubt it.
Nah. Recording stopped.
Should we stop?
Sure. Recording stopped. See?